Hey, welcome back. I'm Luminous Ra, and today we are going to dive into some serious messages. If you haven't noticed, we're in a new space, but before we get into this discussion, let's go ahead and clear the energies and jump right in. Okay, so now that we have the energies cleared, let's go ahead and get into the convo. I do want to acknowledge that we have been seeing and experiencing a lot of couples breaking up, and it brought something to mind in this retrograde. This time period is putting a lot of individuals in a space where they just realize they mean a lot more than the loyalty that they once had to a situation, a job, a person. Usually, I stay because I believe in love. But once I leave, it's because I believe in myself. This isn't just about leaving a bad relationship. It's about leaving one that isn't necessarily justifiably bad enough in everyone else's eyes, but it still costs you your safety, energy, and self-worth. In this sit down, I'm gonna be unraveling a personal story, part spiritual teaching, and a call to action to anyone feeling that inner nudge to let go. I don't know if you're gonna hear it, but it's currently thunderstorming right now, so you may hear some thunder in the background, but it always is a good convo when it is thunderstorming, right? Especially when we're discussing this heavy topic where it could feel like a storm in your life. How do we navigate that storm? A lot of us try to avoid the storm. A lot of us try to dress the storm up into something beautiful, missing the point of what it really is. We have to be real about what the storm is, how often it comes, and how long it lasts, and what it does to us. What toll does it have on us? Here we go. And if you're honest, you already know the cost of the storm. You don't need me to tell you whether this storm is costing you everything. It's time for you to look within yourself and be honest about what it really is. Is it something that you can work through, or is it something that is slowly but surely eating away at who you are, at your light? Let's go ahead and really dive in. I think one of my biggest lessons in life is thinking about the difference between giving a relationship a chance versus betraying yourself by staying. A lot of us don't realize how much we've betrayed ourselves until it's finally over, or some crazy drastic thing happens and we can see the damage and the toll of what it's done to us. And I want to be clear, I'm talking about breakups, but this may fit in any area of your life. A lot of the messages are gonna fit in other places as well, so sit tight because the message may come and flow just for you. The best thing that I could have done for myself was go on this healing journey and learning how to look at who I am. You don't have to be a pro at healing. You don't have to be a guru or a spiritual master. You just have to get to a space where you have enough patience, you have enough resolve to just breathe and look at what's happening, but also have enough love and strength to know when to choose yourself. If you end up in a situation where you're no longer safe physically, mentally, or emotionally, you're not gonna always be able to jump out of that situation right away. You may have to wait, you may have to plan, you may have to save, you may have to do a lot of navigating before you can leave. While you're doing that, a lot of us get trapped in convincing ourselves that it's not that bad, convincing ourselves that it possibly can get better. When you're vulnerable, when you're already feeling broken, when you're already feeling like you've lost pieces of yourself to the point that you only have this relationship. A lot of us aren't as vulnerable as we could be in that, and we're not honest because so many people want to put on the tough guy persona, whether male or female. People don't want to face the fact that you can end up in a situation like that. People have a way of slowly but surely chipping eating away at you. Unbeknownst to you, you may not notice, you may be distracted with other things, and a lot of us are. And I always say this, it's literally the difference between being on a cruise ship and seeing how vast the ocean is versus swimming in the ocean and not knowing how vast it is. You're in two different perspectives. So when you're operating from theory and you're looking at somebody else's relationship and you're looking at what they're going through and you have no idea how they got there, and you say that will never be you, you never know. Experience will always guide you through if you know how to have yourself in a balanced space. That's something that I was able to learn throughout the years in all different type of relationships, just not romantic. Once I started to realize how I show up, who I am, and how other people react to me, I began to see patterns in people and patterns in myself. So even if someone slips beyond my defense mechanism, I'm going to say my defense mechanism and not my boundaries, because my defense mechanism is the awareness that I have in order to peep who's who and to be able to see the real intent behind other people. But I realized in doing that and having that alert system, I was putting a lot of energy and effort in surveillance. And in that surveillance, I was taking away energy and effort in the visual optics of self in order to put all of my energy into that and trying to protect myself, which created this wall and this barrier where I wasn't able to open up my heart space. And I know it sounds backwards. It's just true. Your heart space is your North Star. It's your guiding light. It's how the divine connects to us. So to be able to regulate my emotional, mental, and spiritual body, I don't have to guard myself so much. I'm still alert. You still have to have some amount of discernment, and I'm still being led by the divine because there's still things that I need to learn. There's still things that I need to heal. I had to take a look at my wounded Chiron after this last breakup. I realized this whole relationship, this whole situation, how it ended and everything has everything to do with my Chiron wound. The correlation between the person I was with and my mother, the wound there and the treatment there. Before I could even get into astrology and think about this being that wound and thinking about everything that was going on a personal level, because a lot of times when we're in it, all we can do is feel it. All we can do is react to it. All we could do is just mourn it. But something peculiar was happening to me. I was able to see the spiritual version of what was going on, and I was able to piece together all of the interconnected pieces. So being in it and being without it, seeing it in first, second, third, and fourth, fifth person perspective. I also was able to realize that I was handling it exactly as I should to heal that original wounds that was inflicted on me by my mother or by my father. I was able to associate that with what was going on and really get on top of it quickly. Had I not been healed prior to this experience, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy the experience in the moments where I definitely should be enjoying it. I probably wouldn't have went down this path, played it small, more than likely, or I probably would have went down this path and things would have been so much worse than it already was. To be able to honor the fact that I went through it, I was able to tread water. I was able to observe what was going on, not just as a relationship, not just looking at that person and their faults, but also being able to see myself and my faults and seeing myself and my strength and seeing them in their strength and seeing the relationship in its strength, and also being able to tally up what are the things that I like about this, because these are the things that I want to carry into the future. These are the things that I want to share with someone else, or how am I able to build on top of this? As you heal, as you mature, you start to realize the things that you worry about when you're younger, like cheating is not the biggest deal in a relationship. And I know this sounds crazy. If I would hear myself say this like 7 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know what this girl is talking about. But now I know what I'm talking about, especially when you're living with somebody, especially when you have kids, especially when you have work and everyday stress. Cheating is not the biggest deal. Even though it could still be your deal breaker, there are other things out there in the wilderness that you got to start paying attention to. that you got to look at, okay? Especially when you're building a family. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of stigma and a lot of commentary on areas and relationships on the levels that they're able to access. If you've never been in a relationship that is more family oriented, family based, and that's what I'm going to go with instead of saying marriage, because a lot of people get married just for the status, just to say that they're married, just to step on other people's neck, right? But when you are in union, when you are with a partner, when this is more of a family unit dynamic, there's a different energy from it versus being together for clout, versus being together because you're lonely, versus being together because you want to make whoever mad. It's a different energy. So when you're in that, you learn a different lesson. There's just different levels to relationship, right? And this one was one of those situations where this was a different level of relationship for me, and it gave me a glimpse into what it could be like to live with someone, to have kids, and to operate as a family dynamic more so than it just being about us. People cheat emotionally, people cheat physically, people cheat in so many different ways, right? And you can't control anybody else. That's another thing that you learn in healing. You can't control nobody else. All you can do is control yourself, baby. And it's best that you do. It's best that you just control yourself and don't even worry about that person. That person is showing you exactly what moves you need to make for your better and highest good, not trying to go and fix them and reorganize them. And this is a problem with a lot of women. They feel like they have to fix this man or fix the situation and focus on him. You should communicate about the issues that you have, but once you've already communicated that one too many times is one too many times. By the time you start getting the attitude and you can't control it, that's one too many times. You have to adjust how you approach things, because it could be your tone, it could be you. You know, you got to do everything that you can do to try to alleviate the situation to the best of your ability. You don't want to make yourself too uncomfortable, but you definitely want to lean into uncomfortability so that you can discover self. But once you try everything and it's not working, the next thing that's being told to you is maybe this is not the right situation for you. Maybe this is not the right person for you. Maybe it's already too far gone. There's that aspect of being controlling in the feminine. The other thing that's important is loyalty. If your partner is not loyal to you, if they put everything and everybody in front of you and your union with them, especially if you're going to get married, especially if you have children, there is a certain dynamic once you have that family dynamic where the nuclear family is the family that matters the most. Anybody outside telling you anything different, they're manipulating you. It's just that simple. It's not hard. But if it's hard for either one of you to see that, that is going to be a huge problem, and it's going to be a reoccurring problem, more so than it would be if the person was a cheater. If they're a chronic cheater, that's different. But usually people don't go out trying to cheat on their partner. It happens because of access. Some people are just very easily accessible. You're going to probably deal with family members and friends more often than you're going to deal with somebody sleeping with your person, just to be honest. So they have family trauma and they have people that are very negative in their life, and they have a way of getting into this person's head and turning this person against you. That is going to be a really big issue. Same with a person that is in their arrested development. If they're emotionally underdeveloped and insecure, there's going to be a lot of issues that arise in those situations more so than cheating. There's so many things when you're dealing with people and you really just don't know what you're going to get. And this is the reason why you have to go through the internal cleanse first. Figure out what your boundaries are. You have to be very smart in how you move, especially if you end up in a sticky situation, because life is not a cookie cutter thing. You're going to end up in situations where it might be a little bit complicated and you're going to have to use some serious wits in order to navigate the waters. Sometimes you're going to have to behave as everything is fine and still be planning your exit. At the end of the day, once it's done and it's gone, it's done and it's gone. Especially if you're dealing with a person that is emotionally immature, the thing that they care about the most is reeling you in emotionally. They want to be able to control you emotionally. Think about kids in high school. Think about how you were in high school when you were dating. If you were dating somebody, the thing that you cared about the most was that person never forgetting you, that person being stuck on you. You wanted to be able to pull on them whenever you wanted to, and they answered. Like, that felt good to you. And there's a lot of adults in that arrested development energy. If you're not over that, if you're the type of person, if you leave, you don't want to see them with someone else, and that's the reason why you're staying, that's something for you to look into for yourself. If you're in a situation where you're broken up and you want to look sexy and you want to glow up so that they can see you, that is another thing you have to look within yourself with. You're not ready for partnership because you haven't gone within yourself to actually do the real true healing. You haven't uprooted all of the stuff that you need to uproot in order to get in a situation where you're in the final boss stage. And we're going to get into the depths of that later. But when you're at the final boss stage and you're finally able to have the equipment to really truly overcome this repetitive cycle or overcome this Chiron wound, you need all the tools from healing that you can get in order to overcome it. You have to be able to see things a certain type of way and get rid of the belief systems that no longer serve you. Your safety is more important than the loyalty that you have for this person. This person is more than likely playing with your emotions. More than likely, they feel like they've grinded you all the way down to accept whatever they have going on. But if you feel dead inside, if you feel like you're suffering internally, if you feel like the light is dimming, if you feel like you don't have any motivation to do more and be more, and I'm not saying that you should have that. If you've never had that and you're good where you are and you're just looking at everybody else and you're seeing what everybody else is getting and now all of a sudden you want that, that's different. But if you have a light, if you have a calling, if you have something pulling you and you feel like you're walking on eggshells before you can get it, you might want to start looking at, am I putting the loyalty that I have to this person, is the peace in the relationship and the harmony in the relationship based on whether I stay small versus my safety, my growth, my evolution, my light, having autonomy. That's what you're battling against, really. A person that loves you, a person that's meshed with you, they may not agree with everything that you have going on. Maybe you go about things a certain type of way that might cause hiccups in your future and they're trying to help you fine tune that. That's different. If they're trying to let you know, hey, you're going down the road of destruction and you say you want to do this and I don't see if that road is going to lead you there, that's different. But when you have a purpose, when you have a calling, an inner calling that you know is from the divine, and this person is getting in the way of that, that's different. That's something else. This is when you're choosing loyalty over them or peace and growth for you. Dating for women is a lot like college. Okay, stick with me. Just hear me out. When you think of dating advice, and you're thinking about different people like Shira7 or all these other people that are on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and they're giving you all this information on how to date and how to deal with a man. The reason why I say it's like college is because of the standard. While each college may mean well, there is a different standard that is widely known. It automatically gives this air of what people get away with or what people may do at this college. I don't want you to think that I'm putting any type of education down. I'm not. I'm just saying it straight. I'm saying it real, okay? When people go to community college, a nice majority of those people typically are not as serious as the people that may apply to or attend an Ivy League college. This is a metaphor. So if you went to community college, do not be offended. I'm not coming for you at all. It's a good route if you're focused. If you already come with the ability to come in, be serious, stay focused, get out and go to the next stage, you're good. But listen to that. If a woman is a college and you're a community college and you just want to help every man that's coming through, you're going to get some people that aren't going to take you serious. You're going to get some people that are just trying to meet bare minimum. You're going to get some people that act a fool or still childish in their arrested development. You're going to get some people that don't really know what they want and they're just trying this one to fit. You're going to get some people that just want to show up because they want to be seen as a certain standard. They want to be able to use you as a reference. They may not try so hard to get in there because you're there to help. There's all these advisors helping you fill out your paperwork and helping you go through the process and holding your hand. There's a lot of hand holding. And then when we think about a regular college that we all may know, you know what I mean, like a UIC or a Roosevelt University, this is not tuition based. This is like standard based. Are you able to test into these places or get into these places? Because some people are really good test takers, right? Those people may not know what to expect when it comes to this college. They go there, they spend all of this money, but they're not completely well-rounded and refined in order to really succeed. They might switch majors or go back to a major. They're still not as serious as Ivy League, but they're somewhere in the middle. You may still get some hiccups. You may get some people that don't finish. You may get some people that realize that this isn't for them at the last minute. You know, they don't have the responsibility mindset or the integrity mindset to keep going and succeed in this institution. Ivy League is just not letting anybody in the door. Matter of fact, they're going to laugh at a lot of applications because what did you think you were going to do here? What did you think was going to happen here? They probably don't even get through the whole first paragraph of your entry letter. It's so much more strict. They understand what standards they need to have in place in order to have a great rapport. Even if there's stuff going on in there, right? But they have a better rapport than the other two. And this is the reason why a lot of women are saying you gotta buckle down on those standards. You gotta buckle down on those boundaries. And for me, in healing, boundaries is more so for you to protect yourself from yourself, for you not to go too far in how you deal with people to the point that you regret what you did and you can't heal from that. If I have a bad temper, I'm gonna lay a boundary with my parents. They can't talk to me any type of way, or I'm just gonna hang up the phone, because I'm not gonna get into a back and forth with them that's going to trigger a wound that I may not even know is unhealed to make me get violent physically, mentally, verbally, so that I can still live out in the person that I'm becoming, so that I can preserve an environment where she can flourish. I can't preserve an environment where she could flourish if I have people constantly pulling me back into my shadow self. I need to be able to heal my shadow self. I need to be able to say, this is not okay, and I'm going to remove myself from that. That is the boundary. The standard is, I don't know what you thought this was. We don't even accept applications with crayons. We don't. I don't know who told you that we did, but we don't. We also don't help you fill out your application. You have to figure all of that out on your own. If you think about people that are able to get into Ivy League, they are groomed and prepared and ready before they even step to that door to get accepted. They either were born ready, or they went through enough in life with enough drive and self-dedication in order to get themselves in that door. Now, yeah, some of these people may be a-holes, we know. At the same time, they didn't need somebody standing behind them telling them what to do. And if they did, they didn't hold their hand. They had to go out and do what they needed to do. Now, you got to watch out for the cheaters, because in all of these aspects, there are people that know how to finesse the system. You have less of a workload when you have a higher standard. People fight tooth and nail to not have a standard, because at the end of the day, they just want attendance. They just want attendance so that they can get the funding. They just want attendance so that they can get the accolades. They just want attendance so that they can get the attention, because they're lonely, because they're empty, because they don't have much to live for. And we aren't doing that. And this analogy is something that I literally was divinely guided to. So if I catch anybody using it, I know they stole it from me. I have never seen anybody talk about this. Let's reiterate. Ivy League, or like Harvard, equals high entry standards. People come prepared. Baby, that's where you need to be. You are Harvard, you are Stanford, you are Ivy League, you are up there. Okay, community college equals good for self-disciplined people, but others may drift in without readiness and waste time. And at that point, baby, you're gambling. So always think about relationships like that. They work the same way. If your boundaries aren't Ivy League or Stanford strong, the wrong person may slip in and drain you. And if you let a person drain you down enough, you will absolutely feel like they are all you have. And in a sense, they might be, because they've slowly isolated you from the version of yourself yourself that could see beyond them. You let yourself go and you make them your all, your everything. So you hold on tight, you clench on to everything that represents them and the bond that you have with them. They know that, they can feel that. And you end up playing this game and fighting for their attention and fighting for the top place and fighting to be their best and fighting not to get left and fighting to hold it all together when that is not your biggest accomplishment in this life. Stop loving people who make you feel unsafe just because you're loyal. Loyalty without safety, self-betrayal in disguise. The person that you're betraying is the only one who could save you. Once I healed enough to learn the relationship aspect between healing and relationships with self and relationships with people, I became so free because I realized that relationships are mirrors, but not in the way that we think. It's not going to be an obvious, blatant mirror. People are going to do things that irk us that we don't realize we possess within ourselves, or we don't realize we need to take a look at because it mirrors our past, or it might mirror our future and what we're asking the universe for, and we're not ready for it because we keep repelling it. Relationships show where you are energetically. So when you're with your partner, and let's say things are not necessarily going right, they're not going the way they should go, they might be falling into toxic zone. Sometimes you both evolve together, sometimes only one person evolves. If one stays stagnant, the other either gets pulled down or leaves to keep ascending. So although you all may be different people and you operate differently, maybe someone is stronger in certain areas than the other, someone is more boisterous, they can stand up for themselves and they have boundaries, maybe the other person is more quiet and they don't necessarily have that, but they're more patient in certain areas. And it could flip-flop. Just because someone is patient in one area does not mean that they're patient at all. Just because someone can speak up for themselves in one area doesn't mean that they can speak up for themselves in all, right? But we often look at people's character and we think that that is who they are in every situation, and that is the most naive thing that we can think, because people change by circumstance, people change by environment, people change by influence, and we also have to keep all of that in mind. But when it comes to energetically, sometimes the divine is guiding us to make a choice. There is a lot of free will that we have, and there is a time to decide whether you're going to face the necessary thing to overcome your personal obstacles. The thing about relationship that's very interesting, when I was sitting in meditation, this is how I saw it. You're both tied together. You can be out of sync and still make it across, right? But it's easier if you all are more in sync, and you have to communicate to be more in sync. There's an aspect of a relationship where you all are moving to the finish line together. And then there's another aspect of the relationship where there's different tests that happen. I'm referring to it as a test because this is how the human psyche sees things. But really, it's just situations. Situations can arise where one person may be triggered, one person may not like what the other is doing, and they point it out, and they can handle it in a certain way where either they're loud and abrasive, they call the person names, they're calm, they're reflective about it, they pause to handle it, and they bring it up in more a healthy light. Now, depending on what that person decided to do and how they decided to bring up the situation that is affecting them, the other person also has their own choices as well. They can decide whether they're gonna match energy if they disrespected them, or they can say, hey, I'm not gonna be able to hear and understand you if you speak to me like that, but I understand where you're coming from. I'm willing to look at that. We have to revamp how we're going about the situation, because there's only so much of that I can take before I shut down, and I'm not going to be able to hear you at all. We're not going to get anywhere. So there's different versions of how you can handle situations, and this is mainly what our couples page was showing. There's different ways how you can handle different situations throughout life. They seem small, but I promise you they add up. It's almost like one of those questionnaires that you take for a job, where you answer so many questions. At the end of the assessment, they decide by percentage how many A's, B's, C's, A's or D's you chose, right? And that will determine whether you're able to get the interview. That's kind of how relationships are. You both are making decisions together on this assessment. And when you get to that one check mark, and I feel like there's multiple checkpoints, depending on how long you're with these people, there's multiple checkpoints. And sometimes we stay way too long and we wait until we are at our last checkpoint to face the music and say, actually, I don't even know why I carried this for so long, but I was supposed to exit a long time ago. I don't even know I'm taking this assessment. Sometimes you take the assessment and you fail and you still continue to move on. You still choose to stay in that partnership. It already showed you that it's not adding up. It's not for you. It's not in a space that you want to be in. It's not a space that you can grow in. At some point, somebody's going to have to compromise. Sometimes compromise is not an option. Sometimes it gets toxic. Sometimes it gets violent. Sometimes it goes too far in an area where you couldn't even predict, because now both people are probably uncomfortable. Both people probably feel like they're sacrificing. Both people probably feel like they need to get their lick back. Let me tell you something. I don't know about you, but I know about me. There is an older version of me that I would like to not fall back into. Being tempted and being pushed into that realm of falling back into that person made me look at myself like, this is not who I want to be, especially when I feel like I have to protect myself. And if I have to protect myself, then now it's time to look and see exactly what's going on. We're often told we protect ourselves when it comes to physical violence. It's not just physical violence. It's mental violence. It's verbal violence. It's emotional violence. It's all warfare. And it all can mess you up if you are not paying attention, or if you're lying to yourself and telling yourself that this situation is something that is not. We grieve what the relationship could have been had this person just figured that out, or had you just made this right choice. And depending on where your Chiron is, if your Chiron is in the same placement as mine, if you have a Chiron in Cancer in the second house, a lot of times you will find yourself going within and trying to see, before you even look at what the other person is doing, what you could have done better or what you may have done wrong. And if you're the type of person to turn in and immediately look at yourself, you can easily fall victim to somebody that will make you feel like you're the issue or you're the problem. And you have to be very diligent in protecting your mind and your emotional body in that area. Dialing it all back, we have to start looking at the situation for what it is and not what it could be or what it could have been. And people say this all the time, but a lot of people that are saying this stuff, they're just listening to other people's situation and they're able to draw this straight line conclusion. But again, baby, they are on the cruise ship, smooth sailing. You are in the ocean. You're in it. It's different. And when you're in it, you are being toyed with. Gaslighting doesn't always mean verbal. Gaslighting can be, they made fun of you in a situation or area where they've been chiseling at. Slowly but surely, you haven't been noticing it, but they've been chiseling at you in a certain way to try to break down your internal security, how you view yourself, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself. They chisel in different areas, but it's all around the same thing. When they do that, it's not all bad. Then they go into, oh, I'm just playing and kissing and hugging. And maybe they have not been kissing and hugging you. Maybe they have not been telling you that they love you. Maybe they have not been giving you the affection that you need. They know what you need. They know what you want. Or they may be very grandiose in how they show up. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel so bad about this. And there's so many ways to get you wrapped in because you're emotionally wrapped in. But when you're telling your experience and your story to somebody else that's not emotionally invested in it, they don't understand how you're still in this cycle. But you're still in this cycle because you are losing sight of what's happening. Pause. Because this is the other thing. A lot of these people that do things like this are also damaged. And it's not giving them excuses. We just have to understand what's happening. Our intuition tells us stuff, but sometimes our intuition is not necessarily catching it because their intention may not be, let me break them down and then let me love on them again. They may genuinely not even understand what they're doing. Do you see what I'm saying? They just know that showing up a certain type of way gets them a certain type of reaction, but they don't necessarily understand it. And I've said this in another conversation. I already said, look, sometimes we give people too much credit. They are not meticulously knowing every single step to take. They are showing up in a very unhealthy manner. If you grew up in a household where there was a lot of manipulation, for many years you fell victim to manipulation, but eventually you learn how to master manipulation. And when you become an adult, it's up to you whether you're going to use manipulation or not. And a lot of people are like, why would I not use manipulation when this works for me? Because they're not emotionally developed enough and mature enough to see how they can navigate without it and still get the outcome that they're looking for, and some. They're not able to see that. They haven't healed. They don't even know what healing is. They just are addicted or wrapped and looped into this cycle. And that's when we start bringing in demons and devils and all of that stuff. That's when we start talking about that, because then it turns into its own entity and energy. But we're not going to get it all deep into that right now. We're going to get into some spiritual talk soon, but not today. Okay. I'm just saying your intuition may not pick up on it necessarily because it's not intention. They're not intentionally trying to trick you all the time. They are just reacting because they're acting out what they've gone through in their previous experiences. They're acting out what they know. This is what they've seen. This is what they picked up. This is what they've learned. This is what they know. And you have to start knowing that you don't deserve that. You have to start realizing how to show up for yourself and keep your mind on one tantrum. Okay, this is not working. I've tried everything. I need to start planning my exit. It's not about forcing this person to understand me. It's not about forcing this person to love me. It's not forcing this person to get back to their old selves. This is who this person is. Can I live with them being this way for the rest of my life? Because they're not going to change. Not with me. And that doesn't make you less than. That just shows you there's more learning to do. And if you can't learn in this situation, you're not going to be able to grow. They don't have to be evil to be wrong for you. If they're not growing, they're pulling you down. And every day that you stay, you're teaching yourself to shrink. You're not going to be able to grow in it. There's an aspect to humans that don't want to repeat cycles. And I get it. It's crazy. I've literally lived through so many cycles that I'm no longer impressed. You can't surprise me, baby. Now I'm just like, okay, I know what to do now. But it took me some time to get here. It took me realization and understanding that you gotta start loving the pain and suffering. You have to start appreciating it and realizing it's a part of the journey. It's a part of life. The more you resist these things, the harder it becomes. And it reminds me of stretching. It reminds me of yoga. It reminds me of leaning into the discomfort, breathing into the discomfort, and finding ease in discomfort. And it finally releases you when you do. When you don't force it, when you don't try so hard, you are released. It reminds me of that scene in Harry Potter. And I can't remember which Harry Potter movie it was. Maybe it was the first one. They were trying to get to the Sorcerer's Stone, I believe. And they had to go into this pit of like black snakes or something that was trying to suffocate them or something like that. And in order to get out of it, they had to relax. This is very similar to that. Once you stop trying to avoid these cycles, you're able to overcome the cycles because you're finally able to look at what's going on and what's transpiring in front of you. Oftentimes, you'll learn that a lot of your past partners or some of your deepest connections have the same energy, different phase to what you've experienced. So you'll have different partners, but they carry the same energy signatures, even if their personalities are completely different. And you see this oftentimes with insecure people. If you're dealing with anybody that is trying to hide or cover, mask their insecurities and they're very insecure, you will notice this. And I even notice it because sometimes I will call out an ex's name when a present person was triggering me the way that ex would. It would be subconscious. I wouldn't even know know that I said it until I hear it and I'm like, what? Why am I saying that person's name? But I never disregarded it. I started paying attention to the signs and the energy, and I was like, okay, this person is behaving like that person. They are showing up like that person. What's to this? And a lot of times we bail out the relationship or we leave, which, I mean, if that's good for you, then that's good for you. I'm just going to let you know that the next deep connection that you have, if you have another one, and it could be a friendship, it could be a kid, it could be anything, right? But the next deep connection that you have is going to try to help you navigate this energy to get out of it. If you stay in it, you'll eventually realize what is going on. You'll see the pattern. And a lot of people run to astrology or they run to all of these different avenues in order to figure this out, but you also have to go through it and have the wisdom and feel everything through. Think about it like this. You go through different healing stages where you're ascending up, and sometimes you go through these different cycles over and over again, but because you're ascending, they're different and you're picking up a different tool. You're overcoming this obstacle and graduating to the next until you get to the final boss. And the final boss may be the deepest connection. The final boss may be the thing that was so close to exactly what you wanted, but it just wasn't right, or it just didn't transpire the way you thought it would, or it didn't work out. When you get to that final boss will connect you to the original boss, to where it started. When you overcome that is when you know you have completed that cycle, because you won't be able to be tricked or fall for anything else. It's behind you now. It won't even come up into your reality. And if it did, which I doubt that it will, but if it does, you're not going to feel like it's necessary to go through this situation. You simply don't have the urge to go down that path. You know better. You have all the wisdom that you could possibly have. You've seen it all. You don't need to see it again. You know what I mean? And it's not in protection or vanity or fed up energy. You just are done with it, and you could feel that you're done with it. And this energy often comes when you feel like you've done all the work, but you still meet the same lesson in a different form. And this is the reason why I humbled myself. I humbled myself greatly, especially in this last relationship, because I already understood what it was and what it was coming with. And that is what helped me live it so purely through my heart space and organically, because I understood once I felt the divine leading me in this direction, no matter what, I was going to accept it wholeheartedly. I wasn't going to be blocked, or, I was always going to have my antennas up. I was always going to be aware and alert. I was always going to lay my boundaries down. I was always going to show up in this healed version of self. At the same time, I was not going to shun, question, or feel like there was something with this situation that wasn't divinely guided. I chose to walk down this journey. And even though I felt nudged, I didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? But I had enough courage. I had enough energy to do it, and do it big, and do it loud, and do it free, and share it. I feel like I overcame a lot of fear. I overcame a lot of obstacles. I feel very secure and mature in a lot of different aspects when it comes to love now, because I was able to do the thing that scared the shit out of me. And even then, I understood that one of my beliefs was everything is not meant until your last breath. Relationships are there to help you evolve. They're there to help you discover a piece of yourself so that you can go on this journey and obtain gems. Is not what a lot of people make it to be. And I feel like they make it like that because of religion, but they don't have like a deeply rooted, deeply guided understanding of the spiritual essence of life, because there's an essence of being human, and then there's the essence that you are a spiritual being living a human experience. And it's not one of those things where you can hoe out and just be all over the place. Definitely not talking about that at all whatsoever, because a lot of people think that spirituality is about sharing your body and all of this freedom, and that's not what I'm referring to. You could do as you please, not judging at all whatsoever. Everybody lives and learns, right? What I'm saying is you're not gonna be bound to one person forever, especially when we all have free will. If your person is not willing to evolve and elevate so that you both can go in the direction that you both should be going in, then you're going to need to disconnect from that individual and then reconnect with someone else if that's a part of your plan. The whole point is to continue to evolve and discover self, right? If we believe that the divine put us into physical form in separate bodies and separate sexes and separate religion, cultures, colors, diversity to experience self, then you're gonna want to push that as far as you can. Now, this is the other thing that I want to also throw in there. This is a part of pain and growth. A lot of pain in relationship with a lot of women particularly is the fact that they're not willing to step outside of comfort to continue to grow in partnership. One thing that I realized, and I'm glad that I still held on to in this relationship, was to still have my own autonomy. There were times where I was going through fluctuations and I wasn't really sure about what direction I wanted to go through, how I wanted to show up, whether I wanted to backtrack and not do content anymore. There were so many things going on in the discovery of me. In order for me to blossom and bloom, I needed a partner that was willing to water the grass where we were at, and I didn't have that. I wouldn't have known that had I had shrunk and not continued my journey in self-discovery. You have to be you. You have to be true. You have to be loud. You have to show up. You're not going to be able to see who is not comfortable in you evolving if you play it small. And you'll feel like everything is good. You'll feel like you have a great partner. You feel like you have a great man, because there is no instance where you are stepping outside of your comfort zone, which essentially may also be their comfort zone as well, to see how they react. You want a partner that's going to support you. You want a partner that's going to water your grass, because 9 times out of 10, if you're here, you're that partner for your partner. And it's only right, it's only fair to have a person that's going to also reciprocate having your back. That gets swept under the rug a lot, in my opinion. I was still going to do the thing. I was going to do the big thing. I was going to do the small thing. I was going to discover who I was. The thing about being connected to the divine is I'm still being pushed and guided to go in certain directions for myself as well, because my growth is our growth. Their growth is our growth. And sometimes growth is uncomfortable. Sometimes growth is painful. So if you can't sit in it, allow the fog to clear to see what it is and see what the growth is, you're going to remain stagnant. I don't know about you, but the second that I recognize any type of stagnant energy, it's always dead, okay? Or soon to be. You don't ever want to be stagnant. You don't ever want to be stuck in one place. If we think about Groundhog's Day, reliving the same day over and over again, and it's just structure, it feels like a trap. It feels like prison. It feels like hell. I remember watching that movie and I was like, dang, this kind of feel like hell. And I wasn't even sure what hell was. Whenever the movie came out, I think I was really young, but it doesn't feel right to not grow and transform and evolve. And a lot of women lose themselves in relationships, and nobody told you to do that. You did that because you're scared of losing that man, because you think that man is the most valuable aspect of your life, and it's not. God, the divine is. You are. The love that you have for self, that connection, that open heart space, that is the most important version of life. And everything else that comes into it is extra. Let me say this. I was more willing, more trusting, more dedicated in growth than I was in comfort. If it made me comfortable to not venture out and discover myself, I would have been comfortable in a sense, but still in some sort of agony. This is what you see when you see women crying all on the internet saying, oh, my husband is great, but I'm miserable. I don't want to be married. I lost myself. You lost yourself because the comfortability of not growing or being self or exploring or discovering or pushing your limit, that was more important than choosing yourself. That was more important than any type of self-love or discovery that you could have, because we intuitively kind of know there's going to be some sort of chaos. There's going to be a problem if we step out of our comfort zone, if we do something different. And if we do it and it's not, then that's completely on us. But whether you know what the outcome is going to be or not, you still have to have the courage to do the thing. You never want to be 5, 10, 20, 30 years later crying about years that you can't get back. Nobody has a time machine. And that's the way I see it. Nobody has a time machine. And I really truly feel like one of the most pick-me-shit things that you can do is put like a binding spell or a love spell on a partner and try to hold a partner and bind them to you. Why would you want to imprison yourself to another person? Not knowing what your actual purpose is going to be. Not knowing whether that person is just here for a season, maybe 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, maybe 12 seasons. But you don't know if that person is willing to evolve and grow with you. There was something that I noticed about Shira 7, and this doesn't debunk some of her information because some of her information y'all need. Some of it, okay? But one thing that I peeped, 2 things actually that I peeped about her and what she has going on is the fact that she once said she put a binding spell on her husband, and she got this man through cheating. Like, he was cheating on his previous wife to get with her and, you know, whatever. But she put a binding spell on him once they were married and together. I don't know, she stated when. And then there was another clip of when he was interrupting her live and saying all this crazy stuff. I'm going to put you out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And mind you, everybody's relationship is fit to them. Whatever is comfortable for them, that's their business. The way I saw that, that's weaponizing stability. Whether he's going to do it, whether she believes it or not, whether he's serious or not or whatever, and she got to do something to manipulate him or he got to do something to manipulate her, whatever. That was a sign that for me personally, I can't have. Especially if I know I put a binding spell on that person. One thing you do not do is do something against somebody else's free will. Now, I don't know if he's aware of this. I'm not sure if he knew what she was doing when she did it, if he was a part of whatever she did. It's not that serious. I really don't think it's that serious to bind yourself to a man or a partner. And it's very interesting that she's the main one saying, pick me, should pick me, should pick me, should, because the second that I heard that, that's the first thing that popped up to my mind. If you know anything about magic, if you know anything about anything, trying to take somebody's free will or taking somebody's free will is a no-go. It's a no-go. I feel like if the man wants to go and frolic with somebody else, it was never mine. It was never mine, and it will never be mine. When you tell me for the first time you don't want to be with me, my mind is already calculating how to get up out of that, because I don't want to be with anybody that don't want to be with me. It's that simple, because you're going to spend way too much time trying to hold on, trying to follow, trying to trap. You spend too much time trying to keep something that don't want to be kept. Every time you set a trap, you get into one yourself. I don't have time for that. Honestly, it may just be the Aquarius in me. Like, I just don't have it in me to try to hold somebody down or prove something to somebody else or always have a man on my hip or around me. No, it's just not that serious. The main aspect that life has taught me is letting go is beautiful. Letting go is discovery. Letting go is death and then the phoenix rising. There is nothing wrong with that at all whatsoever, period. And I'm so glad I didn't lose myself and I allowed myself to be who I was. Was I comfortable the whole time? No, I wasn't. I had to push past that glass ceiling. I had to really defend me, discovering me. And that was an indication that it just wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. And, a lot of the pain also is when you realize that you still love a person that you cannot be with. You can no longer be with this person. You can no longer go further down this journey with this person, because at the end of the day, you can't be your own person. You can't be yourself. And if you lose yourself, guess what? They lose interest in you. If there's an issue with someone truly allowing you to be you and allowing the environment to be nurturing and balanced so that you can grow, I don't know about you, but it's an indication to me that it's just not going to work. And I don't need a lot of convincing to myself once I see that to leave. There's not a lot of convincing there. And even after you leave, I feel like there's a lot of pain because you're mourning the relationship, you're mourning what could have been, you're mourning them, you're mourning the good times, you're mourning all of the activities that you did, and you might think that you're never going to get that again. The second that you start thinking that you're never going to get something again, or you're not going to get something better, you're already digging a hole for yourself. And when you leave, you want to be up, you want to be on the surface, you want to be flying, you want to be on to the next activity. That's when you really spread your wings and discover who you are, not jump into somebody else's bed, not fall underneath somebody else, not get on top of somebody else, because that energy is straight up demonic energy. It kind of feels like you may have like a demonic spirit type energy, or a succubus or whatever type of energy on you or around you, because you feel like you need another body. You feel like you need to use somebody else as this tool to get over someone else. And that within itself is a whole nother thing. But the pain of leaving, the pain of not being able to let go, is because you don't have faith in who you're going to be in the future. You don't have faith that you're going to do better and you're going to see better. One thing that I always notice about myself, and once I noticed it, I start saying it: my next is always better than my last. My next is always better than my last. And now I'm getting to the point, I'm more mature, I've grown, I have wisdom. I don't really care whether there's a next, but if there is a next, my next is always better than my last. And I just can't unknow that. And that's wisdom that nobody can take away from me. It does not matter what anybody says to me. Nobody can convince me different, because that is what the divine has shown me. The next is always better than the last. I know I'm going to get back up. And the funny thing about it is, if you play your cards right, when you start to realize that your person is moving funny, and you start to disconnect and grieve and break up mentally while you're in the relationship, when you're doing that, you leave up. You might leave and actually feel a weight of relief. You might feel happier, like literally next day, happy that you finally were able to get away and you can breathe. And it doesn't matter what situation you're in, you're just happy that you've gotten away. And that sounds crazy, but it's real. So just remember, pain isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're moving on. Your comfort zone is going to keep you from any type of soul evolution. It's going to keep you stagnant. You're going to feel a lot of resistance. You're going to feel like you're not moving. You're going to be sucked down into that hole of wallowing. You're not going to be able to manage your mind and not think about that person and obsess over everything that they're doing. And this is the other reason why I say keep your heart space open, because when you keep your heart space open, your spirit is already connected to the divine. It's already connected to your ancestors or whoever you believe in. Whatever spiritual force that you believe in is already connected. So once it's open and you're free to feel everything, and you're free to transmute energies, and you're free to move along, you will know exactly what it is that you need to do once you're out of that relationship. And it's not going to be doing someone else. You're going to be able to do something that is going to go directly into the future that you were already working on. And this is why it's important, please listen to me, it's important not to lose yourself while in partnership. Because if you lose yourself while in partnership, once you get out of partnership, now you're struggling trying to find yourself out of partnership. There's so many obstacles against you at every range. At every tenure, there's so many different obstacles, right? Either you don't have money, or you don't have time, or you don't have beauty, or you don't have help, or you don't have kids, or there's always something that you tell yourself to make it hard. You have to start balanced. And the balance is basically keeping up with self. Do not lose yourself. Granted, sometimes it still happens. Even with me, like I was seeing acne, I was having health issues. There were things going on. Hey, you can kick me while I'm down, baby. You ain't never gonna keep me down. My head is never gonna stay below water. Okay? Ever. I refuse. I don't care how crazy I can get. I don't care how much I crash out. I'm always gonna bounce back immediately, because I've been through this so many times. It seems like the more I elevate and ascend, my highs and my lows are getting closer and closer and closer. It's not a crazy drop anymore. And it feels heavy. I still feel all the emotions. I allowed myself to feel everything. That's how I get over breakups so fast, because I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm not going to tell myself lies. I'm not going to lie on this person. And sometimes I will still focus on the person because I realize my brain is trying to gather up, piece together the last of the puzzle pieces and get the last of the answers so I can have the full picture. Okay, report done, moving on. But sometimes if I can't get the full picture, I don't need the full picture. All I need is what I know. And what I know is it didn't work out. It did not suit me. It wasn't a healthy space or a nurturing space where I could thrive. And, and the thing about it is some people are so hell-bent with keeping other people down that they don't realize when you keep another person down, you keep you down. If you're able to water the grass with that other person and you're able to put the fertilizer down and you're able to tend to the garden, you both will grow substantially. There's no question about it. And if you can't get there because of a mindset of someone else, then you got to get out while you still can. You got to get out before everything dies. So do not lose yourself. And losing yourself looks like giving up hobbies. Losing yourself looks like not wanting to take that trip or not wanting to go out with a friend because you feel like you're starting to walk on eggshells, or you don't want to disrupt the peace that you already have, or you don't want to anger the beast. It doesn't matter what the consequence is. Do what you need to do, because you need to see what's on the other side of that. You need to see what's on the other side of that. And once you see what's on the other side of that, that's going to tell you a lot, and it's going to help you position yourself. When you avoid things, when you sweep things under the rug, you're not keeping the peace. You're just delaying the process of the inevitable. If there's a monster under there and there's something within you that triggers that monster, because remember, you're both mirrors to each other, and that monster does not know how to protect you against itself, it's going to come out eventually. You're just prolonging the process. You're just creating more memories. You're just dragging it on, but it's going to come out. It's inevitable. The whole point of partnership and relationships that we have with people is to do our best to show up as our best, despite what we've gone through in our past. It doesn't matter the darkness. Think about any hero story. The reason why we connect with the hero is because no matter what they've been through, despite all of the pain and hurt and darkness that they've gone through, think about Batman. They still prevailed. They still overcame. There's still a testimony. There's still something bigger. There's still something better. There's still something brighter. And you can't even believe it. I don't even know how this person gained this strength. I don't know how they still have this light. I don't know how they're still happy. I don't know how they can still speak to my spirit and my soul after everything that they've been through. That is something motivating about that. It's like truth chills. I'm getting truth chills right now. It's something about that. It's something relatable about the villain, because they've been through things and you understand why they gave in, and you understand why they turned up, and you understand. I understand too. I have a shadow self too. Don't piss me off. Don't make me feel like I have to protect myself, because baby, you will meet her and you're going to be like, oh my God, I did not know that this was her. But if she shows up, you've done enough. And I'm not sorry. At the same time, the wiser I become, the more I heal, the more relationships I have, the more obstacles I overcome, she really doesn't have to come out. Eventually, it's just me there, me and my higher self, just looking at that person or looking at that situation. And we're like, wow, I never saw this before. You know what I mean? It's that type of energy. Remember that about pain. Pain is the facilitation of growth. So just remember, if you avoid pain, it just shows up later, louder and messier. Tread lightly, baby. The faster you stop avoiding hurt, the faster you'll heal. One thing that I'm grateful for having the couples page, teaching what we taught on that couples page, was so many different questions that I didn't feel like I was in the place to answer. For instance, you never want to tell somebody it's time to leave, it's time to walk away, it's time to break up. Because if they're not ready, they're gonna blame you for the backlash instead of being grateful for that honesty. And so many people posted things on our page where I was like, it's time to break up, it's time to walk away, it's time to let that go. They want to leave, let them go. But I just couldn't respond. I couldn't answer because I was like, yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. A lot of people don't handle the truth well. Even though they're coming to you, assume they're looking for truth, but a lot of times people are looking for comfort. And most people already deep down know when it's time to leave, but they act as though they don't, or, they confuse themselves. They wanna know the difference between a regular relationship obstacle and a divine nudge to leave. And I feel like I already kind of touched on all of this, but I would say the first thing, if somebody wants to leave, I think that, you should let them go. And they always say, if it's meant, you let it go and you come back and so on and so forth. But the way someone wanting to leave, me personally, translates to me personally, is this person does not want to be with me. Now, for me, once I decide, I'm a fixed sign. I'm stubborn. Once I decide on something, I ain't going back. The way I felt about you, the way I looked at you, the way I saw you, the way I loved on you, it is never. If I ever went back, it will never be the same because you already messed up. Don't play with me like that. Don't tell me you don't want to be with me, but you do. Don't try to weaponize a breakup to get me in line or get me to snap into it or get me to realize that you're the best thing for me. You're not the best thing for me. The divine is actually the best thing for me. I will never talk to you again. I will never see your face again. I will not even have to go out of my way to never see you again because, like I said, my next is always better than my last. We will never be in the same place. I will manifest that. Like, that is when I will put a binding spell. I will put a binding spell on myself that I never see you again, ever. A lot of people play that game where they're like, oh, they want to break up. They're going to miss me. I don't care if you miss me. I don't care if you ever think about me again. I'm not going to think about you again. Once I'm done, I'm done. So for me, this advice, I'm not sure if I can take this advice when I say, you could let somebody go and if it's meant they can come back. It's never happened to me. It's so far. Oh my gosh, I cannot stop hysterically laughing. It's never happened to me so far. And I don't even want it. Because why? If you thought you could do better, go do better. And I will go do better. Like, you right. Actually, you right. You start to get the inkling that it's time to leave. You won't necessarily see it for yourself, but it'll come up in conversation. It will just start to show itself. And it goes back into, again, what I was saying. If you can't grow in the direction that the divine is leading you in, whatever that direction is, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm not talking about like dogmas, right? I'm talking about spirit. You have to become aligned with spirit. I really truly feel like if we think about how men and how women operate energetically, men typically stay the same. They stay the same. Once they're comfortable and you see how they are when they're comfortable, they are pretty much the same. And women pretty much always changing. You don't know who you're going to get. And that's just how it's kind of been. Some people may be the exception, but for the most part, that's what it is. So if you're going to deal with a person that's going to be the same, you want to be with a person that's going to be the same at a level that you're comfortable with at every level that you reach. And that person needs to be more of an anchor to hold it down while you do your changes. And they got to be okay with you going through your changes. That is exactly what women are about, changing. We change through motherhood. We change through menopause. We change through menstruation. We change every month. We are transformation. Literally, we are transformation. And anyone that is dating us or with us that doesn't understand life. They don't understand the cycle of life. They don't get it. And a lot of us as women, we don't get it. We need someone that is going to be able to create a space where it's safe for us to transform. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say this. When I say transform, I mean for your better good. I'm not saying all of a sudden you want to be a bad bee and you want to get BBL and you want to run after NFL players and basketball players, and that's different. That's a different lifestyle. I don't know nothing about that, okay? Basically, all I'm saying is you need somebody that's going to respect you and respect your growth, respect when you fall and respect when you make mistakes, mistakes, and respect when you're not at your best, and respect when you are at your best, and respect when you are at your prime, and not try to inhibit that, not try to get in the way of that. And they also feel safe in exploring self and evolving self as well. I feel like it's just that simple in theory, but because of the obstacles that people go through, it makes it challenging, because people want to experience some sort of exhilarating feeling. Some people need to go through extremes to feel something. Figure out what your type of person is. If that's not your type of person that needs to go through hell and hot water in order to feel alive, okay, you gotta pay attention to that. Life with another person is not ever gonna be cookie cutter perfect. People don't fit in boxes, so I don't know why people try to check off boxes when it comes to people. This guy's version of family is a white picket fence, and he wants to have 2 kids, and he wants to be a dad. Like, his version of a dad is not maybe what you're gonna need with your child. There's anomalies that happen. You may have a special needs child, you may not have a child. You know what I mean? There's so many things that you can't predict about life, and you think you have the perfect person, but you realize after things change and shift, you weren't able to jump on the same page with your person, and sometimes you just gotta let it go, you know? And that's okay. This is what life is about. It's okay to grant people their autonomy, whether they're doing it out of spite, whether they're doing it out of love, whether they're doing it out of misunderstanding. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is knowing when to release and let go. Be dedicated in your growth. Be dedicated in oh my gosh, I am so overwhelmed with happiness. I just want to cry. Seeing the future you through. You have to see it through. You can't ever think to yourself you're never going to find better. You are going to find better, because you'll be better. And you have to dedicate yourself to that. The only way that you're going to suffer and you're going to be worried and you're going to be in fear is if you know that you're not going to be the best version of yourself, if you're not going to explore yourself, if you're going to sit and wallow and be angry and bitter. Yeah, it's gonna be real challenging doing that. You're gonna hurt if you sit in the same spot and you're angry, and you're gonna hurt whether you get up and get it done. And baby, I would much rather get up and get it done and get up out of that. If you're sitting there trying to figure out what you should do, I just want to let you know that you're not confused. You're avoiding the truth. That sneaky little feeling that you're getting that you can't shake is God whispering, it's time. The longer you wait, the heavier it'll be to carry. I'm thinking that we're gonna do another sit down, but you let me know in the comments, you know, how you feel and what you want to know, because one thing is for sure, 2 things are for certain. I used to be only a pro. Nah, that's a lie. I always been a pro with this. I was gonna say I've only been a pro at loving hard and loving deep and loving strong, and I had to work on breakups, which I did kind of have to work on breakups, but I've always been a pro at both. I always been a pro at breaking up. And not in the sense of rushing to the finish line to break up first. I don't play those games. You know, sometimes you just know when it's time to go. What I'm saying is I've gotten very good at breaking up and moving on fairly quickly. I saw a video of a man saying it takes like 11 months to grieve. And when you think about it, you have to grieve the relationship. And a lot of people will tell you start grieving a relationship and break up mentally while you're in relationship. But a lot of times, a lot of people are not able to still show up in relationship and break up mentally. Like, you can tell that the woman is about to break up. A lot of men don't even really pay attention to that. They still think it's good. They think it's even better once you're ready to break up, because you're not putting in what you used to put in. You know, you're pretty much over it. And yes, that is a key as well. I'll go as far to say, when you get out of a deep partnership, like you really, really love this person, and you probably still love this person when you break up with them, it's gonna be really challenging to process the breakup. And this is where you have to keep your heart open. A lot of people, hear me out. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. A lot of people think that you have to close your heart space to get over them. A lot of people think that you have to delete pictures, and you have to avoid, and you have to go no contact, and you have to do all of these things. And while yes, that's a good thing to do if that's what you need to do, at the same time, there is another way. The other way is through the process. Some examples. Let's say we've gone on a date somewhere, but it's a place I love or a place that I've gone to before I even went on a date with that person. I'm not going to stop going there. But you know you're going to get memories. You know you're going to get the good memories, right? You have to be able to allow yourself to transmute that energy. If you're going to cry, you're going to cry. If you're going to let it go, you're going to let it go. If you're going to be angry, you're going to be angry. But you need to be able to go through life without avoiding places, people, and things in order to overcome the scenario. It's almost like when you're allergic to, let's say, peanuts, and you give yourself very small micro doses of the peanuts. Eventually, you will create a resistance or a resilience to peanuts. It's essentially the same thing, but you have to know yourself in order to do the micro dosage of breakups the way I do, because if you don't, you'll easily slip back in. If they know what you're doing, they'll easily pull you back in, either with arguing or wooing you or even intimacy. So you have to be very self-aware in order to go through this route, but there's other aspects that you can do as well. I was like, low-key, I need to drop a breakup plan, and I think I still might, and just post it on Patreon, because what I'm doing is tea. It's tea. It's tea. It's getting your girl through. Like, I am so happy. The fullness of my life is fuller than it was before I even got into this partnership. So, baby, when I tell you, there's no misery. There's no misery. And, you know, I can do it all by myself. I love that. I love the fact that I don't have to jump into being distracted. I don't have to jump into somebody else's arms. I don't have to jump into anything. I can sit with myself. I can still have peace with myself. I can still do the things that I used to do that this person was probably involved with, but not backtrack, not reach out, because at the end of the day, I'm wrapping up the report and I'm about to file it. When you close your heart space, you allow bitterness to fester. You allow the hurt to be trapped in you. You think you're closing your heart because you're protecting it, but really you're locking yourself in with all of that pain and all of that suffering. You don't want to do that. That's not good for us. That's not good for you. That's not good for me. So having my heart space open, I'm allowing the energy and the emotions to flow, and I'm observing them, and sometimes I'm taking them in and I'm experiencing them, and then I'm letting them free, and I'm questioning why I feel this way, and, you know, just getting to know myself. Where am I mentally, and being able to speak it out and go through the whole process. And it is weird because I'm going through the process of moving forward, and I'm moving forward very fast while also having dreams and spiritual nudges and messages, downloads, while also traveling through the past as I move through the future to reassess what happened and to evaluate everything that happened. Is kind of like a quarterly review session, right? I'm reviewing the whole entire situation, and all of this is happening simultaneously while I'm still living out my roles, and I'm operating the way I'm operating through life, and I'm still able to like be so full and happy. It just feels good to allow myself to just be, and allow myself to wonder, and allow myself to be curious, and allow myself to be gentle, nurturing, sad, happy, blissful, you know, and just honor it. It feels good to be able to truly honor myself. And that's something that I wish for you too. I want you to be able to honor yourself, because a lot of people think that they've got it figured out because they are a baddie or dark feminine or all of this stuff. But really, I'm just gonna say it. It's cowardly. It's nothing to look up to. It's not that superhero feeling that you would get. I'm able to speak my mind and speak through my heart space and vulnerability and not be knocked down no matter what anybody says. Like, it doesn't bother me because I know my truth. I can see my future. I could feel my future. Oh, I'm getting chills. Not even just see it, I could feel it. So even though I don't know what's in front of me and I don't know what's coming, I know that it's divinely guided. I know that it's bigger than what I can explain and what I can articulate, because I'm on a path and I don't have to fake it. I'm not faking happiness. I'm not faking a path. I'm not faking I wasn't going through it and I wasn't crying. Like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. I'm a sensitive gangster. I'm gonna cry, yo. Like, I cry when I'm happy, so you know I'm gonna cry when I'm sad. You know what I mean? And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to go through these emotions. It's okay to be mad. Like, I'm just honoring all of these emotions, even if I don't understand why I'm having it in the moment. I'm just letting myself feel it, and I'm letting it pass. Like you got to do that for yourself. That's when you truly ascend. It's really good for your nervous system. For instance, I'm very active on a daily basis. I'm moving toward my future. I have my plan going for my future. I see what I'm supposed to do, and I also give myself and my body time to rest. I'm automatically doing the things, okay? Eating healthy. I don't journal. I am gonna end up journaling, but my journaling is more like voice notes. I'll do voice notes, or maybe journaling for me is writing things in my notes down that I end up turning into these discussions with you. So that is my process, I guess. And my process is moving so fast that I hope I don't forget what I'm doing, because it wasn't calculated. I just hit the ground, start running. And I just know so many people are going through this. And I would just love to say, yes, it hurts. Yes, you're in the ocean, but you also want to have that bird's eye view as well. You also want to say, you know, what is spirit showing me? What is spirit guiding me to? What's the next direction? And why is it so many of us in the collective going in this direction? Where are we headed? One thing that I've noticed the most is it's just showing how resilient women are in a way, but not in tolerating shit. More so how we move forward in wisdom. Let's say I'm suspecting that this person was cheating on me. Instead of going through their phone trying to see, you know, who are they cheating on me with, I'm not even gonna waste my time with that. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I set myself up for success. Instead of being 3 steps ahead, now I'm 100 steps ahead. You will never see me coming. You have no idea what I have planned for my future. You have no idea where I'm gonna end up, because I've already got myself in position to make sure that I'm gonna be all right. And when I can trust myself that I'm gonna be all right, I know I'm gonna be all right. There's nothing to crash out about. Now I have nothing to crash out about. I already peeps you. And that's why you have to realize who you're dealing with. They're gonna show you a million times who they are. It's up to you to believe it. And once you believe it, you make sure that you're playing chess, not checkers, baby. And that is how you regulate your nervous system. You have to get your nervous system to understand and believe that you have your own back, and you're gonna be all right no matter what. No matter where you hit the ground, it doesn't matter. You're gonna start running. You're gonna hit it and run. And you're not gonna avoid. You're gonna sit with it. You're gonna sit with the emotions. You're gonna go through the process of not understanding why this happened and grieving the good times and trying to fix the bad times in your head. And then you're gonna go through a process where you're gonna see them for exactly who and what they are. And you're not gonna tell yourself or try to convince yourself to keep holding on to that pain, or keep going back to that pain, or keep reliving that pain. You're not gonna go against yourself. You're gonna show up and you're gonna show out. To an emotionally immature mind, bitterness may feel like strength, but it's just a pretty prison. Closing your heart won't keep you safe, okay? It'll keep you stuck. Heal enough to still believe in love, even when it's not here yet. I'm gonna say it again. I stayed because I believe in love. I left because I believe in myself now. Peace over pretending, baby. I'm not gonna pretend. Your girl's not gonna pretend. Ever. I'm not the type to suffer and wallow in silence forever and ever and ever. I'm moving on. If you need some help, moving on. I made a playlist just for this. I actually did a lot. I made a whole bunch of stuff. I have a mantra meditation. I made a playlist. I got a to-do list. Like, I just got it perfect. And that was me hitting the ground running, okay? I did not plot this. I did not plan this before leaving, or I didn't even know when we was gonna break. I had no idea. But I do know that, baby, the playlist is giving, all right? Oh my gosh, the mantra, affirmation, meditation is giving. I'm going to adjust it and make it a little bit longer, and I'm gonna post it on Patreon, okay? Just remember that. So if you've been feeling pulled to go, trust the same God, divine, Allah, Jesus, whoever it is, who's the divine for you, who gave you the courage to leave, will absolutely meet you on the other side. Don't wait until you lost yourself to save the relationship. Save yourself first. Everything else can be rebuilt from there. Life is not gonna end. How many times have I told myself that life was ending every time I broke up with somebody? I thought it was over, everything was over, and and I'm still here. That's something that you learn once you get a lot of practice and things being over. You realize that it's not you that's over. It's the old version of you that you can no longer fill those shoes anymore. It's the old version of you that you can't crawl back into. You've expanded, you've grown, you've blossomed, and now that your phoenix has risen, it's time for you to fly. So save yourself now. Love will find you again. And this time, you'll already know how to keep it. Thank you for sitting with me and having this beautiful discussion. If you have any questions, definitely leave it down below. I would love for you to help me out and get this conversation circulating. So go ahead and tap the like and share for me if you can. I would love it. And I'll see you soon. We'll go deeper into discussions like this in the future. That's my time. I will see you next time. Peace, love, and a little bit of spice. Mwah.